Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. In today's video it is Sunday, so it is Pit and Peaks Day. If you can see this big fat belly here, that is Kia. I didn't want to move her for the video, so I'm just letting her sleep up there. So yeah, it is Pits and Peaks Day. I have not filmed a Pits and Peaks for a while, I don't think. I definitely didn't do one last week. I didn't really have much to say. I was still sort of recovering from COVID and things like that, so I didn't have much that I'd been doing that I could report on. So I didn't do a video last week, but I do want to pick that up again, so my Pits and Peaks will be a regular feature going forward. I, as always, have my list of things that I want to talk about for this week, so I guess we'll get straight into it. I will do the pits first, so we can end on a high with the peaks. So my first pit for this week, if you have not seen my previous video, which was basically an update on training and things like that, where I obviously said that I had COVID. So my first pit is that I have not been doing my 30-day challenge. The 30-day challenge has been an absolute flop, basically. I obviously started out the challenge really well. I was doing each of the challenges every day. Then I got COVID, so from that sort of point on, I haven't really been doing the challenge. I have been recovering from COVID for about 2 weeks, and then after that point I'd missed so much of it that I just didn't see the point in picking it up, so I have decided that I'm going to repeat the challenge for July instead. Obviously I apologise to the people that had joined in with the challenge. I know there was people from my channel and Maria's channel that had joined in with the challenge. However, I've just obviously not been able to do it with COVID and everything else, so I'm going to do the challenge again for July and hope that it goes much better. So yeah, that is my first pit. Second pit for this week is that I'm still recovering from COVID. There are still some sort of after effects that I've got that I am still dealing with. So obviously tiredness is one of the first ones. I find that about halfway through the day I really start to flag, especially while I'm at work, because obviously I'm commuting, I'm driving, so that makes me tired in itself. So that, on top of the tiredness from COVID, has just been a pain in the arse, really. You might not be able to hear, but I also have like a bit of a phlegmy throat that I've not been able to shift. So that's been annoying as well, and that's sort of been having an effect on my running as well, because it's not shortness of breath as such, but I feel like I'm not able to breathe as effectively as I used to be able to. So I'm hoping that over the next couple of days, hopefully the phlegmy throat will go on its own. I do still have a bit of a cough, usually in the morning when I have like a dry mouth, dry throat. So that usually sort of goes after I've had a drink and things like that, but that's still sort of clinging on, if you will. The next one is that I have been back to work, obviously now that I'm COVID negative, and the rules have changed at work, so we're now on a hybrid working scheme and I'm having to go into the office 3 times a week, and that's having sort of a knock-on effect on my training, because I used to work from home 3 times a week and have 2 days in the office, so it doesn't seem like that much of a change, but because because of the days that I'm working, it's sort of playing havoc with my training, if you will, and I'm having to run really early in the mornings before I go to work, which is, yeah, it's doable, but it does sort of push things. I'm having to get up really early, and I'm not a morning person, so that's not been great. Hopefully as I get used to getting up early and things like that, it will just get easier, but for the time being it's just really annoying to have to get up that early in the morning in order to sort of get the run done and shower and whatever else stuff that I need done in the house, and then leave for work to get there by 8. So yeah, it's pretty annoying. It's just going to take some getting used to. My next pit for this week is that I failed my long run today. I think I got a mile and a half in, and then had bowel issues again. Not to go too TMI on that, but I have mentioned in the past that I had failed one long run before. I tried to do my 7-mile run a few weeks ago, and I had to stop about 4 miles in, something like that, where I needed the toilet. And I got the same again today. I had been to the toilet before I went out for my run, so I thought I'd be alright. And then 1.5 miles in, my stomach just completely went and I needed the toilet. I did have some toilet roll with me to go to the toilet. I like have a wild poo, if you will. But there were too many dog walkers around, so I just had to sort of abandon and go home. And by that point I couldn't be bothered coming back out, and it was already getting pretty late anyway. I had stuff on that I need to do today, so I'm going to retry tomorrow instead. So yeah, I'm feeling a bit pissed off with that, I guess. I do have some Imodium instants which I probably should have taken today, but obviously because I'd been to the toilet beforehand I thought I'd be pretty safe, but obviously not. So I'm going to take Imodium for every long run, just as sort of a fail-safe, even if I've been to the toilet, and hopefully that will work out just fine and I'll be able to do the long runs without having any interruptions. But that has been sort of sucky. I had hoped to get my long run done today to sort of finish off a really good week, but it just wasn't to be. So yeah, I'm going to try it again tomorrow. My sort of final pit is, I guess, centred around that, with my training and things like that. I think I've just got sort of I'm just having a bit of an off day with it and just feeling really anxious about training. Obviously not being able to complete my long run has sort of had that negative effect on me, and that sort of kick-started everything. But I'm just sort of worried about training in general, worried about long runs in the future with regards to sort of getting round without having to need the toilet. Getting the long runs done in general and being fit enough to do them. And then also the sort of added stress of fundraising as well, because obviously I am fundraising for Crohn's and colitis, and I am only 20% into my fundraising. I know that I have 14 weeks of London Marathon training left, but it just feels so far away to be at the fundraising target. So yeah, that is sort of a niggling feeling in the back of my mind. But I have things in place if I don't get the amount of donations and things that I needed, and I'll just have to sort of take the hit if I need to. If I had known the sort of economic climate and things like that, and all the bills going up and whatever else, if I'd have known that they were sort of coming at the time that I was going to be fundraising, I probably wouldn't have taken a charity spot, just because everyone is really tight in their purse strings at the moment, with obviously bills going up and whatever else. So I do sort of understand why people are not donating, but yeah, it's just that extra added stress that I really don't need at the moment on top of training. So I'm just gonna have to see how it goes. Hopefully donations will come the closer to the marathon, but like I said, I do have steps in place and money that I've saved up that I will use to sort of bring up the rest of the fundraising target if I need to. But yeah, it's just all sort of stressful times at the moment. Yeah. I also had something else that I wanted to mention for my pits. I'm having to add this afterwards because I'd forgotten about it previously. My other pit that I wanted to add was that I have decided to go back to tracking calories. I've been tracking calories for the last three days now, I think. Ultimately, I feel like, well, I should probably backtrack this a little bit. I had mentioned in a previous video that I was going to be upping my calories slightly. I was having sort of a real lack of energy from restricting my calories a bit too much. I'd sort of swung to the far end of the spectrum with restricting my calories a bit too much, which was having an adverse effect on my training and my energy and things like that. So I'd sort of said that I was going to make an effort to increase my calories, not be in too much of a deficit, and sort of have my training create that deficit, if you will. However, I feel like I've almost swung to the other end of the spectrum now, and I'm just eating far too much. That coupled with the fact that obviously I lost my sense of smell and taste during COVID, and I feel like since it's come back I've just had this wild appetite. So I do think, and I'm obviously not ashamed to admit it or whatever, but I do not think that mindful eating right now is the best thing for me. I end up at either end of the spectrum where I restrict too much or I eat too much. So I think for now, calorie tracking, although it's monotonous and feels a bit like a chore, I do think that it is something that works for me. And I think it's the structure that I sort of need to keep me on track properly. So I have upped my calories on my Nutritech app, so rather than me being in the deficit that I was for weight loss, I have increased my calories. It's just that I'm making sure that I track everything that I eat to make sure that I am actually at that range rather than overeating. And yeah, I just felt like sometimes I had that free-for-all mentality where obviously I wasn't tracking, so I felt like I could just eat whatever I wanted, and that's not the case. So yeah, I think for now, for the time being, I'm going to continue tracking, and then at some point in the future I may decide to return and revisit mindful eating, but for the time it's just not for me. So I'm tracking my food again, so it's not been going too bad. I have, for the first sort of couple of days, I was just trying to find my bearings with how much I was eating before, compared to sort of dropping it down to where I needed to be for maintenance. So that has, it's been going okay. I have been over a couple of days, but I did sort of expect that adjustment period from where I was eating before to where I'm eating now and tracking. So hopefully that evens out over the next couple of days, and I will be ready to sort of tackle July, because that is coming up very soon. I think we've got 4-5 days left of June, so again it feels like this month has flown by, but I think yeah, it's calorie tracking is the right decision for me right now, so that's what I'm going to be doing, and we'll just have to see how it goes. So that was my final pit, so I can now sort of resume with the rest of the video that I was going to do before. I don't think I've got anything else for pits, so I guess I'll move on to peaks. I don't really have many peaks, to be honest, just because I've just been inundated with pits lately. First peak, I guess, is that I finally tested negative. I didn't have many tests left, actually. I'd run out of all the tests that I had been given from work. So I had one final test that I had to wait until Monday to take, because that was when I was going to work. And I tested negative on the Monday, so I was able to go back to work. So yeah, I guess that's a good thing that the sort of positive case didn't drag out any longer, because we have rules at work where we can't go back while we've got a positive test case. I'm not sure how that really works, because you can test positive for like 90 days after your positive result, so whether they were going to keep me off that long, I've no idea, but I guess it's okay that I'm negative now. And then the final peak for this week is that I have done 3 runs this week, and they have gone relatively well, all things considered. Obviously with my first run back after COVID, that was pretty tough, but it has got easier throughout the couple of days that I've been running. It's just obviously the last run that I did today, my long run, was a bit of a fail, so hopefully I will be able to manage that tomorrow, and then I'll be moving on to the next week of training next week, or tomorrow should I say. So we'll just have to see how that goes. So yeah, not much else to update on. It's been pretty full on, I guess, with me getting back into training and things like that. We'll have a training update that will go out, I think on Wednesday is when I'm going to have those go out, just so that it's not as close to this video. So keep an eye out for that over the next couple of days, where I will let you know how training has gone this week. Hopefully I will have better things to report with my long run that I will hopefully do tomorrow. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Other than that, I think I'm going to end the video here. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You can always click the notification bell down below and be notified of when my videos go live. Other than that, hope you're all staying safe and well. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend, whatever it is that you're watching this, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.